decentralized finance industry since the last year. Many things happened. So in a short time together, I'll tell about the updates in stablecoins, taxes, and so on. But before, let's do a quick temperature check. How many of you are well familiar with the concept of decentralized finance? Just raise your hand. Okay, good. And how many of you really tried and used tools like DAI or any taxes? Okay, sounds good. So let's cover all of this. But before, two words about me, why I speak about this. So I work with the Fire Labs, which is a development company. We work a lot with the blockchain, dApps, fintech. We also do grants with the Ethereum Foundation, and we started the initiative TGov Network, which is research effort around how we govern these decentralized networks, and blockchain community of developers in Ukraine. We started just recently FinTech Innovation Network, which is about bringing collective intelligence into the space and bringing innovators to identify problems and solutions. And given the common stacks are the projects in the space of the circular economy in commons, how we fund public goods is really important and which hard task we're trying to solve. So the space have grown a lot since the start of the year. We measure that by the amount of funds locked. So as there is no other enforcing action for the contracts to be followed as escrowed funds, we measured the development by this number, and at the start of the year we had $300 million locked, and now despite the crypto winter, we had more than 3 times growth, and now it's more than $1 billion used by the different apps to mint different derivatives, loans, and so on. And those are the main players in the field, and all of them are currently in Ethereum. Of course, there are other platforms like EOS or Tezos that are also developing smart contracts, but still Ethereum is the most developed in terms of number of developers and the apps. So there are more than 250 different applications in the space. It's almost 10x from what we had before, really a rise of decentralized finance tools. So we had in crypto this initial use case of exchanges earning money, and also there are more than 40,000 users, which is not so much globally, but again, the sphere is so new, it's almost a year of active work. And we had lots of improvements, so one of the biggest hurdles for the adoption was the hard UX, so for non-tech-savvy people, understanding the things with the seed phrases, with the gas, it's not a common concept for them, so there are new projects, for example, gas station that allow easy onboarding new users to application that will move fees to the DApp itself to enable the first transaction to be done on the from the DApp. No need to have crypto before. We have many innovations in the wallets. So there are wallets that allow you to do exchanges straight in there, get loans, and so on. There are many things I want to talk about, but just to use our time best, let's move to one of the biggest use cases, which is stablecoins. And MakerDAO is the dominant player in the field. So more than 60% of that billion is locked in the MakerDAO contract. And Maker is a decentralized bank where you can escrow your crypto. Before that, it was just Ethereum. Last year, they allowed to put any other tokens that they trust. And under that escrow, they provide you with a coin called DAI, which is tied to $1. So through the tokenomics mechanics, they always allow these transactions, they always are ready to buy and sell this DAI for $1. Then there is a new player called USDC, which is from the Coinbase, which is more of a custodial solution, but it allows the better stability, and we see more interesting solution in the space. But of course, the most complicated things are connected with the regulation. So many countries are thinking now about issuing their stable coins connected to their currency, and everybody's against Libra, of course. because stable coins are way broader use case and better means of exchange, better means of payment, because Bitcoin and Ethereum, due to their price fluctuation, they are not easily used like in the current economy, but things like DAI can be. So they really can disrupt and harm the current local currencies. So we'll see how it will develop. That adoption really lies in that. Then we have cool tools like Compound that allow not only lending money, staking money for like in these liquidity pools that will give you percent, and the percentage, the percent you can get on your borrowed funds can reach up to 10% yearly, which is way higher than in traditional industry. It of course varies on the demand, but if you trust, if you understand how this ecosystem works, and it worked pretty well even in the times of like when currencies dropped 10 times, the stable coins and this contract still worked and work till now. So if you started in this space, you might consider putting and trying it out even on the small sums with tools like Compound. And then you can also borrow funds. You can borrow different tokens that can be used for different applications when you need it, without the need to sell your valuable assets. There is this app called Synthetics that is currently working in the derivative space, so you can short and long different existing cryptocurrencies, but what they are really looking forward to do is to get shares of the companies like Tesla or Apple to be traded via this platform. So also interesting thing to be done. And on the exchange side, one of the most interesting and important player is Uniswap. So this was built by the community, it's all open sourced, and it doesn't even get any fees for Uniswap itself. So of course there are fees for exchange, but all the fees are distributed amongst the people who provide the liquidity for this product. And like the power of DEXs can be described by this story. Recently they needed to restrict a few countries from using this decentralized exchange, and decentralized exchange is the exchange which is purely operated by smart contracts. So there is no legal entity, there is no like office, there is no bank account, so nothing can be enforced by this. It just works. And still, while some brands, some people, I think there was some pressure to restrict trading in countries like Iraq, Iran, North Korea. But as it's all is done via chain, it's super easy to still access these contracts or build another interface for these exchanges. So this is really, we're coming to this unstoppable infrastructure which will really disrupt what we have today. And there's another player called Kyber. So